Hey guys, Art131 here, and good morning. We're going to talk about the second assignment in week number 1. So, like I mentioned in a few emails in the last video, that each week I'll post several videos. Some are instructional, and some of them are demonstration. So, or explanation, or something to have to do with each assignment to help you understand it and give examples as well. So, right now we're in the first week. Each week, as I say, I'll post one video in the beginning of the week and then one in the middle of the week to follow up. Usually they contain the first assignment in the first part of the week, the second assignment, and the homework in the middle of the week. Just like basically a classroom situation. And that's what you want to keep in mind when you're doing your work, that these classes were at least 2.5 hours long. So that's, you want to give each drawing at least 2 hours or something. Hour and a half, 2 hours, not really fast drawings. Unless you are very good already with skills in drawing, then sure, it'll probably come through that you're very good. If not, and you need to put more effort, you're going to end up doing that anyway because I'm going to ask you to do it, do more to it or adjust it, whatever you send me, and send it back to me for a better grade. So all during the term, you have a chance to uh, gain better grades by doing more work to each assignment if I ask you to do it. Of course, if you do not, then you're getting a lower grade. All right, let's talk about week number 1. Here we are, and assignment 2, and the homework. Homework's really easy, drawing of choice, but I want you to still put into practice the elements and skills that I'm providing in a demonstration instruction video. There'll be several. So watch those videos after this one. This is the introduction to this number 2, Shoe from Memory and Life. And then I'll talk about the homework, which I just did. And then you are to watch the other videos about shading, how to hold the pencil for shading, how to shade, and why we shade. That'll all be included in those 3 videos. And also there's a gesture drawing video, which is about mapping out and sort of getting a gesture of what you're going to draw before you actually draw it. So it kind of maps out the shape and proportion and of what you're drawing before you just start drawing perfect drawings without sort of mapping out what you're going to do first, lightly with a pencil. And that'll all be in the video. So look for those after this first one. It'll always say, watch this video first, and then the others that follow it, watch those as well, because those are going to be the instruction for each assignment that I'm addressing each week in the video. So let's talk about a shoe from memory and a shoe from life. And what I end up doing more than not is going to Bing Images or Google Images. You can do it yourself as well and put in whatever assignment I'm talking about, and it'll bring stuff up that you can get examples from. So when we're talking about a shoe from life, that's a shoe that's actually in front of you that you have, a physical shoe there in front of you that you're drawing from. And you want a single light source. I'll say that all term. Single light source coming from either the window, from outside light, which is the sun, and or, not and or a lamp in the house. But you want a single lamp, not multiple lamps, because it is easier to draw shape on a paper, a 3-dimensional appearance on a 2-dimensional plane, which is your paper, with a single light source, because it shines from one side or the other or coming down um, it's better to situate it so it's one side or the other. So you have a light side and a darker side, a shadowy side and a lighter side, where the light is being picked up and where the shadows are on the other side, because it's easier to shade it to show its shape. You're showing the shape through light and dark tones from your pencil. And those are created by your light source. This is all in the video, so I'm not going to go over it too much. But when you're talking about a shoe from life, it's a physical shoe in front of you that you set up on a table or wherever you want to set it up. Shoe, boot, sandal even, but sandals are kind of minimal. I would do a shoe. But if you see, like from these drawings here, if you don't put shading in, like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, you see them. There's no shading, and they look flat. They don't have as much shape as, let's say, this shoe or this shoe, because these shoes have shading with attention to a light source. Light source is coming in on this one, probably from the right, top right, because this front of the shoe is kind of lit up. That means there's less shading on it, so it's white like the paper. When you're putting a lot of shading in, you're darkening it up with the tone from the pencil, because that's in the back side or on the other side where it's not catching the light. And this happens all over the drawing. The shoelaces, the in between in here, it's darker than the shoelaces. Back here, it's darker in the folds, inside the shoe possibly, around the sides. And then there's a cast shadow on the table. You see that? It's not just floating in the air. You got to place it somewhere. So wherever you place it, you're going to see probably a shadow on the table, a cast shadow from the shoe. So basically, in the most basic sense, you're looking for all the light and dark areas and then just putting them in with your pencil. I'll have a video on holding your pencil as well, so that you'll see that the side of the pencil, when you hold it with an overhand grip, you're able to shade with the side of the pencil, not the tip. It's easier to shade a broader area smoother with the side of the pencil rather than the tip. The tip is for writing or drawing thin lines, which there's not all that many lines in a lot of drawings, you'll find. And this one too has the shading, right? This has some shading. This has shading. The ones without shading look flat. They don't have a shape. They don't have a three-dimensional shape. This is a good one for shading. And it takes some effort. There's a lot of effort there. Okay? This has shape because I think the light is coming from the back side, because there's a cast shadow here coming this way from a light source coming from that direction on the back left side. And lit up on the back of the shoe, lit up here, lit up here. When I say lit up, you're leaving it with less tone so that the white of the paper shows through. And all the other darker areas, and you'll find that there's probably 7 levels of shading here from the very lightest to the very darkest. Because all these midtones in here, all this midtone, halfway tones, vary. Maybe 3 or 4 tones in there, and then you got the very dark and the very light. That's 7 or so. So when you get done with your drawing, look at it and say to yourself, does it have 7 levels? And, look for the darkest. There's 1. The lightest, there's 2. And everything in between probably ends up to be 4 or 5 levels of tone. That'll be in the video too, levels of tone, and how to get those levels by pressing very, very lightly with the pencil when you're shading, and then getting more pressure and more pressure. More pressure creates the darker tones. The more pressure you add to the pencil, because you're having the pencil render more of its tone in a space than when you have a light pressure. Okay, so look for those videos. I'm not going to make this too long. The shoe from memory is basically a a made-up shoe, or one you remember, or a boot, or that you like. Maybe you want to get one like that. And you don't have an image you're looking at. You're looking at it from your mind. So you're imagining that and drawing it. Try to draw it with all the quality of a shoe of life. That means it's going to have all the tones, it's going to have shading, and that'll help you make that a strong drawing. Usually, what happens is a shoe from memory or imagination ends up being a less of a strong drawing with beginners because they're not really conceiving of the all the tones and all the shading or where the light source is. But start looking at that and addressing that, and try to practice that. It'll be in the videos. They'll talk about it. What they'll do is put an apple or a ball up, and they'll show you a light source coming from a certain direction, and they'll show you why the light source is shining on part of the object, and on the other side it starts getting in the shadow area, and that's going to be the darker tones in the shadow area, and the lighter tones are where the light is hitting more. That happens on every subject matter. That's how we perceive shape. When you're looking at things, you can't touch it if it's far away, and you're trying to tell somebody, or it's telling you that it's round or square or soft or rough. That's all in the light you're seeing on that subject, where the light is hitting and where it's not. And that tells you it's a ball. It's a round ball because you can see the light on it. Our brains are been doing that since you're little babies, little kids. You're perceiving what's in front of you and what shape it is before you've touched it because of the light source on it and its shape. When you're telling your mind is picking that up from the light and dark tones in whatever you're looking at, whatever it is. Okay, so you'll start getting this concept even more and more and more about how we're drawing anything has a light source, has tones, light and dark. That is what makes the shape appear on your flat paper, your two-dimensional paper. You want a three-dimensional appearance, and that's going to be all in those videos. So watch those videos after this one, and the homework is just a drawing of choice. So, but put all those elements into play. The tones, the light source, the light and dark tones, the 7 levels of tones in anything you draw. I mean, anytime you send me something that has no shading in it, I'm going to send it back and ask you to put shading in it. And I'll give you examples. So you might as well start trying to do that straight away. All right, in everything you draw. So watch the other videos, and then we're going to talk with you next week. And heads yourself up for that. There's the same scenario. There would be 2 assignments and a homework. All right, we'll talk with you later.